So today is Christ the King Sunday, which I think is a hilarious title for a Sunday. And some of you are like, well, what's so funny about Christ the King Sunday? Christ means the same thing as Messiah does. Christ is Greek. Messiah is Hebrew. So Messiah means king. So you have like King David, you have Messiah David in Hebrew. Christ just means king in Greek, and king means king in English. All right? I was just making sure you guys all understood that. So this Sunday is actually King the King Sunday. Yes. That's one of my favorite jokes. And people are like, how can you tell a church day was created in the last 100 years? It's because we're calling it King the King Sunday. But this is actually the last Sunday of the church year. And I think it's good that we do a nod towards the King, right? Of Jesus, that it's all part of this. And that's what it is. So next week is the beginning of Advent. And so we're beginning the new year of the church, beginning with Advent, going on into Christmas. And it's great. So I'll quick plug Advent stuff real quick. We're kind of going through something a little interesting this year. We're going through a Christmas carol for our Advent sermon series. There will be a page on our website earlier in the week. This week it's not up yet. If you want, a link to this book to buy it from Amazon or something like that, but it's a Christmas carol. You can buy this anywhere. They're they're probably not in the checkout lane at Walmart, but you know what I mean. Like they're like, this is a commodity, but this is a great little book, and there'll be a reading plan so that you can go through with us. And I think you might be surprised at the biblical themes that are weaved in and out through a Christmas carol. But that begins next week. That we'll start going through that. It's good. I like it. But this verse today, the separating of the sheep and the goats. The goats will be on the left and the sheep on the right. And you'll look at this, oh my goodness, this is quite the Thanksgiving verse, Pastor Chris, right? Like the separating of the sheep and the goats. What is going on here? This almost sounds scary. And yeah, it does sound scary. I remember hearing about the sheep and the goats when I was growing up. And all that teaching that was entailed, it was always kind of given to me as fear. It's like, oh, you want to be a sheep, you don't want to be one of those goats, or, you don't want to be one of those goats that's going out there that's terrible and all of that stuff, because God's going to throw you into the fiery furnace, right, and get rid of you forever. Now, I will say that I don't remember ever being taught what the actions of the goat or the sheep were. I don't think that was the point in trying to scare me into heaven. But that's kind of how we dealt with all of this stuff. And it's not till, I'm embarrassed to say, probably 5 years ago that I really began to grasp a hold of what the sheep and the goats thing is like. And I think that it's actually a lot about how we celebrate Thanksgiving. So, to understand the sheep and the goats, you got to look at the context of what's going on. Jesus says this right before he's arrested in Jerusalem. It's in the middle of Holy Week, right? And he's calling out all the religious leaders, all those Pharisees, all those people that like to talk in public and about things and wear white robes and talk loudly in front of other people. Oh, okay. All right. So then he's calling out all these people in the temple. And one of the things that he says to all of them is that if you have enough faith, you could say to this mountain, go away, right? Like that's what he does. Now, when I grew up thinking about that passage, about having enough faith that I could move mountains, it was almost like, ooh, I got to have enough faith. And it's like I would look at a tree, because I'm not going to start off with mountains. I'm looking at a tree as little Cris, It's like, ooh, it's over there. And you can hear someone in the corner, like a short little green guy that's like, use the faith, Cris. And you're like trying to get Does everyone get that reference? I say references sometimes and people don't get them. Then they should get it. Yeah, use the faith, Cris. And it's like, just trying to move that tree, but I can't do it, you know? Like that's maybe because my name's not Luke or something. And so we often look at things this way. That it's like, oh, if I could just have enough faith. But that's not what that story's about. That's not what it's about. You see, what happens is Jesus comes into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey on Palm Sunday. And it's to all of these shouts of Hosanna, Hosanna, which means save us, save us, save us. And he comes in, and what's going on here in that Palm Sunday procession is that they are remembering the last time God saved them. And they commissioned a huge holiday the last time God saved them. Do you know what the holiday that was? That they're all basically remembering this holiday as Jesus comes in on Palm Sunday to all these shouts of save us, save us, save us. It's Hanukkah. If you want to find out more about Hanukkah, in a week and a half, the first Wednesday in Advent, Paul, who grew up Jewish, is going to be telling us all about Hanukkah and what it means. Jesus celebrated Hanukkah. I think a lot of times we look at it as like Jewish Christmas. No, it's older than the incarnation of Christ. And I don't know how we understand Holy Week in the crucifixion, the resurrection of Jesus without understanding what Hanukkah is. So come on, it'll be fun. We'll sing a bunch of Christmas carols too. But all these people are shouting, save us, save us, save us, in honor of Judas Maccabeus. And they're saying that Jesus is this new king who's come in. And Jesus comes in to all those riding on the donkey, and he after he gets off the donkey, he goes up on top, up to the mount of the Temple Mount. He goes in there and he looks around and he's like, well, I don't like what I see here. And then he leaves. He leaves and he goes to Bethany. And the next day, on the way back to the temple, he goes up on the Mount of Olives with the disciples and he says, if you have enough faith, you can tell this mountain to go away. Now, what's fascinating about the Mount of Olives, coming out of Bethany and looking at you can see the temple in the background because the temple is also on a mountain. In fact, it's called the Temple Mount. So when Jesus is saying, if you have enough faith, he's not saying, use the faith, Cris. He's like, you can get rid of that temple over there. And that's what he does. Is that he goes into that temple, and that's when he grabs all the money changers and all those things, and he begins to turn over all of those tables and chase people out of the temple. So let's read about this real fast. This is Matthew chapter 21. And Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. Right? Like he pushed all these people out of all of these things, because what these people were doing is that when the Andersons came in from their other city that they lived in to make a sacrifice, they came in and they would come straight to the temple and they would be able to easily buy and sell doves. You know, it's buying and selling and all of those things, and they were making it easy for people over there. But the problem is, some people were being pushed out of the temple for all this buying and selling. And Jesus says, is it written that, like it is written, he said to them, my house will be called a house of prayer, but you have made this into a den of robbers. You're just buying and selling. So he kicks everyone out. And then after he kicks everyone out, who then fills up the temple? The blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. Suddenly, when the king shows up in the temple, the true king, he kicks all of the activity out, and he brings the temple in to its original purpose, right? And we find the King, the creator of let there be light, and it was good. He brings in where you can find him truly there. That he binds heaven and earth with those on the outside and the fringes, right? He reunifies the vision of all the misfits together in the temple. See that? See that? Now, how did the Pharisees feel about this? Did they see what Jesus was doing? You're like, oh my goodness, finally, like we have the vision of all of the Old Testament prophets, all the visions of the Old Testament, that this is how we've always seen how God acts in the world. We finally see it. Thank you, Jesus. Is that how they acted? No. But when the chief priests and the teachers of the law saw the wonderful things he did, and the children shouting in the temples, Hosanna, save us, to the Son of David, they were indignant. They saw the good things that he was doing and were like, oh, this is terrible. They were indignant. That's not the term we use around here, is it, Dare? That's not the term. What term do we use here? Like when they were indignant. Like the Pharisees, they clutched their pearls, right? Like they clutch. Oh, yes. I see. I've been made aware of a joke that's been trying to go on for 4 weeks now, and I've been ruining it, that the ladies have been wearing pearls, and many of you gave up today, is what I heard. That's I had AI try to put together some Pharisees clutching pearls. It didn't really turn out that well, but you get it. You get the idea. But they're so indignant that they're clutching their pearls, right? And why? Why are they so indignant about it? It's because they thought that they were being the sheep. They thought that they were being the good sheep. They thought that if they just obeyed the holy rules of God, that if they did all the right things, if they did all the right stuff, then they would be the sheep. But they missed the point. They missed on the nature of God and who God is and who he hangs out with, right? They have this holy image of how God lives and acts in the world. And they're like, if we just live and act this way, then God will bless it. So we'll make the sacrifices easier. We'll make everything bigger, greater, more better, like all this stuff so that we can point our beings upward towards God, right? Like that we could do all those things, but they missed where God is. They missed who God is. And that all of that external trappings are just in service and a symptom of living in the true way of God. They're like the goats referenced in Matthew 25. They don't see those blind in the lane. They don't see those in prison. They'd gone after, they thought that they were being sheep by doing all of this stuff. So we did the same thing. I think this image is a great example of it. Have you guys all seen this before? Yeah, I figured as much. It's one of the most famous images that exists today, right? Like this is Norman Rockwell's, do people know the title of it? Freedom from Want. It's part of the four freedoms. This was World War II propaganda, right? Like over there. But normally, propaganda is like soulless and terrible. By the way, I firmly believe my Facebook feed is just filled with propaganda right now, like that I just see on a daily basis. It's just lowest common denominator garbage, that makes you feel something. Like all of that, all of those things. Norman Rockwell is brilliant, though. I love Norman Rockwell. I always thought Norman Rockwell was this guy that painted American idealized perfection. Far from it. And when I was in Bentonville, Arkansas has this museum in it called Crystal Bridges. It is way better than it has any right to be in Bentonville, Arkansas. It's what happens when you have Fortune 1 as your main driver of your local economy, right? When you have Walmart as your driver in your economy. Like that, and they brought in a traveling art exhibit of Norman Rockwell. And if that is ever near us, let me know, and you should go to it. Because you'll probably look at Norman Rockwell and all of his paintings in a completely different light. And we'll explain to that in a little bit of what all that is. But I love this image here. And the reason why I love it is because it does something kind of subversive to us. And we often are like the goats, the Pharisees, in how we look at this image. That we think that if especially coming with Thanksgiving, it's like, oh man, if we could just get back to this time, if we could just make this like this, like then everything would be so much better if we could just get back to this time. And I don't know who is just eating straight up celery, but like you guys have whatever you want, right? That we get these images in our mind and we end up making the image the goal. And we forget everything that got us to that image, right? The image is the goal. People talk to me and they're like, how come your church is so friendly? I tell them it's not friendliness isn't the goal. Community is the goal. Actually giving a rip about people is the goal. And I think that makes us friendly. Like and so like the picture isn't the goal here, but that's what was happening. Like all of these Pharisees and stuff like that, they're looking at their picture and they're just goats. Like they're just goats. They want that picture of holiness and innocence, and they get all the bad out of it. They get all the stuff that's like, ooh, get the lame and the beggars, get the poor out of here. To get all the bad stuff out. We don't want it anymore. And they end up pushing God himself out of the picture so that they can worship the actual image. But you look at this image and we remember what it takes to actually get this. It actually takes making room for people, because there's nothing worse. I've said this a while. Weddings are kind of the same way. You know what my favorite weddings are? I get to do them down here because this group of people like to get married on the beach. It's people 55 plus. They're in their second marriage. Do you know why? You know why it's my favorite? I don't like the doubting from him from the back row right now. Do you know why it's my favorite? People are done with the drama. They've got money to throw a really good party. And they just want to have a fun time, right? They're not interested in the perfect image. The perfect image already failed them. They just want to get their family and friends together and have a pretty killer party. It's a killer 55 plus. I mean, they're done at 10. But like that's can't drive at night, like that's but old people jokes. You guys love them. And but that's the image. That what it takes to create this is actually serving the people around you. It means lowering yourself so that you can make enough room at the table so that people can be there. It means loving and serving even your crazy Uncle Larry, or crazy Uncle Dale, I should say, right? And it's not, and the goal isn't for a picture to be taken, but the goal is so that we can all enjoy a meal together, that we can share together, right? Like this is this image that we're given. Like so often when we're thinking about serving Christ and all that stuff, we often think if I could just look up at the height and the glory and the majesty of Christ. But when we end up looking to Christ, we end up seeing, as Revelation puts it, a lamb that was slain, that is like a huge mirror that points us down to the people all around us. And Matthew 25 is basically saying, if you want to see me, you'll see me in the hungry, and you gave me something to eat, in the thirsty, you gave me something to drink. See me in the stranger, and you invited me in. You see me in the needing clothes, and you clothed me. See me when I was sick, and you visited me. When I was in prison, and you came to visit me. He becomes the least of these. And he leaves the throne in heaven to serve them, to serve you, to serve those people around you, not demanding perfection from each of you, but instead he came in the midst of all of that pain and hurt, and he died in the midst of it as he died lower than any of us, so that in his resurrection he may lift all of us up, so that we may share in this meal of the forgiveness of sins together. He gives it all so that you might become sheep. Not by what you do, but out of his love. So, this World War II propaganda is called freedom from want. There's something in here that many people miss. Maybe you guys are smart enough to realize this. Where are all the people looking in this image? Where are they looking? What? They're looking at each other. Who's looking at the turkey? Nobody. I mean, the person, like, she's like, oh no. You know, like she's going down with it. No one is looking at the turkey. Like, this is the beautiful part about Norman Rockwell. Like, they're such a freedom from want. They're able to just enjoy the table. They're not so hungry that they're ready to just devour that turkey. You know, like they're able to see the real way that we gather around the table together, right? They're looking at each other, and you can tell this is the point that he's doing, because this guy over here, this creepy guy in the corner, yeah, that's Larry. He's got some strange opinions about the moon landing. He's looking at you as you're at that table too. It's about the people. So this week, as we wrap up this whole Christ the King Sunday, we want you to see that Jesus is ruling and reigning on his throne. And we often find ourselves trying to look up to Jesus to find this image of perfection. But what you see is that Jesus, the King, the Christ, the Messiah, is with the poor, is with the lame, is with the strangers, is with the hungry, is with the sinners. And you end up seeing that it's not this holy picture that we end up striving for, but it's the King himself who's come to be with us. So this Thanksgiving, here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit around that table that you've gathered together of misfits, right? That you look around at that table, and as you look around, I want you to look at the faces of all the people that you see. And I want you to see Jesus and their smiles. Some people don't know how to smile, I've realized in my life, but that's all right. Do you see Jesus in their eyes? As you see that he's collected all these people around that table. And then when you go before them, when you're doing all the shopping, you're going to all the stores, either Black Friday or getting ready, and you're frustrated that people don't know how to use the self-checkout correctly. You're frustrated with all that stuff. I want you to see them the way Jesus sees them. That he embodies in the midst of that frustration as well, and he loves them as much as he loves you. And I want you to have the eyes of Jesus, to be able to see the people that have been pushed out of the places that we spend time, the temples, the places we spend money, that have been pushed to the ends of the fringes, and see that God is making his greatest residence there. And that he's opened a table for them, for us, And for even those people who don't know how to use self-checkouts, He's opened the table for all of us together. And the forgiveness is making you His sheep. So go in love. And I think that's good news. And we'll end right there. God, we thank you that you are with us. Lord, as we think about where you are located, Lord, may we never forget about the people. Lord, you came as one of us. May we never forget that. Lord, may we never disembody you and make you into a thing, a religious duty that we have to act. But Lord, may we always see that it is about your people. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.